This conference will now be recorded.
All right, Nicholas, it's all yours. Everybody else, please go on mute.
Okay. Thank you for welcoming me in your group for this session about entrepreneurship. I will go through a short presentation and including a video to give you an atmosphere of the entrepreneur program at Orange, and we will go through a few steps in the Entrepreneur Factory book. And I will leave a space for question and answer, so really feel free to interact. I'm looking forward to answer to your question. So just a short introduction about what we do at Orange in terms of entrepreneurship program. We have a clear value proposition, which is to support any employee with an innovation idea for Orange in implementing it. And to facilitate this implementation, we ask every entrepreneur to find a business unit which will be a sponsor of his idea and which will help for further commercialization for his idea. So there are entrepreneurship programs which are dedicated to ideation, to operational excellence, and so on. Our program is clearly dedicated to innovation, targeting an external market, external users, and in this innovation path, more especially toward implementation of the idea, transformation of an idea into a tangible business. So we have a quite standard selection path from the application of the candidate, pre-selection of a few candidates that we will help to develop their value proposition. And then they pitch in front of a jury, and the jury select a few of them, around 3 to 4 projects per season, to be fully incubated. And then the entrepreneur is fully dedicated to his project during the time of the incubation. This is not so much relevant. And this wanted to give you an atmosphere of what the jury session means. So,
L'Intrapreneurs Studio, c'est de permettre à des salariés qui sont dans le groupe, qui ont une idée et qui ont envie de la développer en mode start-up, en restant dans le groupe, donc avec et pour Orange, l'opportunité de faire ce projet. On a déjà eu 2 saisons. Aujourd'hui, on est là pour écouter des projets qui ont été présélectionnés.
Pourquoi un tel engouement pour l'intrapreneuriat chez Orange ? Je pense que c'est un des signes du changement de culture. Aujourd'hui, on a des gens qui ont fait des projets, qui vont aller sur le marché. On a des gens qui ont arrêté des projets, qui sont sortis heureux, grandis. Et donc voilà, ça bouge. Il faut tenter, il faut oser. Et je pense que ça commence à rentrer aussi comme étant le plaisir d'entreprendre. Donc c'est une super bonne nouvelle.
Moi, je vais défendre un projet sur le voyage. En voyage, c'est très bien parce que ça fait rêver tout le monde. Et c'est vrai que là, depuis un mois et demi, on était assez stressés. J'ai dû dormir la nuit. Et puis là, non, maintenant, ça va. En fait, on a beaucoup travaillé, on est prêt. Et donc, c'est le plaisir plus d'avoir la chance d'être là et de pouvoir défendre nos idées.
I'm really happy because it's just the final part of all this job. So I'm really happy to be there. And let's see what happens later.
Nous représentons la Guinée et nous avons comme projet Orange Quinténie. On était un peu stressés avant le pitch. Voilà, c'est un gros soulagement maintenant.
Bon, j'espère qu'on sera retenu parce que vu la réaction des membres du jury, j'ai une ferme conviction que notre projet sera retenu.
Je porte le projet dépôt marchand que je viens de présenter et je suis vraiment satisfait de ma présentation. J'étais un peu stressé, mais après cette présentation, je suis vraiment soulagé et fier d'avoir participé à cette aventure.
ce soir plein d'émotions. Ça nous rappelle des super souvenirs avec Alexis. On est très content pour les futurs sélectionnés de cette saison 3. J'espère qu'ils vont vivre la même aventure que nous.
Depuis, ça se passe très très bien. On est allé plusieurs fois sur le terrain. On a pivoté un petit peu, on a adapté et on utilise toujours cette démarche Lean Startup qui est hyper bien adaptée.
I must say that I'm very impressed about the quality of the ideas that I heard. The collection of ideas is very impressive. The candidates were all very well prepared. The speeches were very nicely done.
Et vraiment les gagnants, c'est des projets qui sont très intéressants, qui nous prennent à cœur, qui sont émouvants. Et on aimerait combiner ça aussi l'année prochaine en Belgique et de lancer un Entrepreneur Studio chez nous.
Ce qui m'a impressionné sur cette session, c'est quand même l'incroyable qualité des pitchs. Ils sont devenus professionnels, comme avec des vraies startups que l'on rencontre face à des venture capitalistes. Et la deuxième chose, c'est le nombre de projets internationaux avec plusieurs dossiers africains et un dossier européen en Espagne cette année.
On est super fiers de nos entrepreneurs ce soir qui ont été excellents. On leur souhaite bonne chance.
So I guess that through this short video you have a feeling of what is a jury event at Orange, something which is quite popular, which is also joyful. And as the manager of the innovation division, the lady who spoke at the beginning of the video said, it's not only about the projects which are selected and which will go for incubation, it's also about spreading this entrepreneurial spirit, spreading the ability to take risk and to consider that failing is not a problem, since you can start again with this entrepreneurial spirit. It's also a way to bridge a gap between the business units that we have in 30 countries around the world, especially in Africa and Europe, with the innovation division. Of course, the employees who submit ideas do not come only from the innovation division, but they are incubated with the support of the innovation division. So this way we are during this event and during the incubation liaising very much with business unit that will support the incubation path. One outcome of this program, I will give an example of a successful project to be more concrete. Is the last winner from Orange Guinea, which is a project about trash collection. And so the pitch, in a few words, was the streets of Guinea are like the street of Paris, but they are like the street of Paris after 3 days of trash collectors being on strike. And so this is a problem that everyone understood in the during the event, because trash collection strikes open on a regular basis in Paris. And the guy from Guinea said, so it's like Paris, but for us it's every day like this. If you dig into the problem, it's not a problem of trash collectors. There are trash collectors, there are vehicles that are collecting trash. It's a problem of payment, because when the trash collector comes to the building, he wants to be paid, and usually or very often the person who has asked for trash collection has left the building or doesn't have the cash to pay for the trash collector. So the entrepreneur said, I have a solution to this problem. It's an intermediation platform that connects trash collectors with consumers. They can subscribe to a trash collector service, and when they subscribe, an Orange Money payment is set up to process with the payment every week or every month. And so in the project, in the solution, the entrepreneur stressed that Orange had a key asset to do that. That's the Orange Money mobile payment in Africa, which is a very strong service that can facilitate this payment. When I started this entrepreneur program, if someone had told me, you will see there will be in 3 years' time an entrepreneur program that will be about trash collection, I would have said, no, this is not what Orange does. We do 5G network, we do Internet of Things, we do some mobile banking in Africa with Orange Money and in Europe, but we don't do trash collection. Nevertheless, the jury voted massively for this project because it targets a concrete problem, and the solution that was developed leverage on Orange key asset. And this is what we call transformative innovation. It's an innovation that really addresses the problem of the people in the field, of the users, that will transform their lives. So during the 3 years, I have worked on entrepreneurship at Orange. I had many contacts with entrepreneurship managers, and we exchange a lot of tips between Orange program and other company program. And I summarized these different exchanges with 40 companies in a book which is called the Entrepreneurs Factory. So basically, the Entrepreneurs Factory suggests 10 steps to shape the program. And then after these guidelines, it shares 20 entrepreneur stories from various companies. The 10 steps are as follows. First, defining your reason why, what you expect from the program, why you have decided to start the program, and ensure that it is aligned with the strategy of the corporation. Second step is to define the value proposition for your users, and your users or your customers are the employees who will apply to the program. So what's in it for them? Third is who will be the sponsor of the program, and sometimes it can be wise to have 2 sponsors, because over time, people who are sponsoring the program might change position, and the new person in place might not make entrepreneurship his first priority. So if you have a second sponsor, you have a B plan for your program. For each of these steps, I spot on the key question for these steps, and I share the answers, the decision that some of the 40 companies have made regarding this step. And so the entrepreneurship manager that reads this can make up his own mind and decide what is appropriate for his program and for his company. The fourth step is the process, how you will identify entrepreneur, what you will be looking for in terms of mindset, how you will select them, and once you've completed the selection, what will be the incubation process. During this process, you have to define in step 5 what is the entrepreneur status, how much time will be freed for this entrepreneur. It often varies from 20% to 100%. So at Orange, during the incubation, entrepreneurs are fully dedicated to the project. And very important, what will be the coaching provided to the entrepreneur? It is very important because after the jury session, for example, the selection session where the entrepreneur has pitched, they are very impressive. So you feel like they are seasoned innovation manager, but actually they are not. And you have to coach them along the way, both on the way to follow on the innovation methodology like lean startup, but also how to build their team and how to develop a network of allies within the company. These allies or this will bring resources into the project and will facilitate the further commercialization of the project. Step 6 is about how to involve the business unit very upstream in the entrepreneur project that are developed. Step 7 is about defining the exit scenarios, not only for the entrepreneur, but also not only for the project, but also for the entrepreneur, and how you will hand over the entrepreneur project to the unit which will be in charge of the commercialization of the innovation. It can be an existing business unit, or it can give birth to a new business line, and so a slight reorganization of the corporation. Step 8 speaks about social impact and how do you spread the entrepreneurship culture within the company. Step 9 is about positioning the entrepreneurship program within other innovation program which might be existing within the company, and how they all complement each other. And step 10 is some indication of the value created by entrepreneurship program, the metrics that can be used, and a good a practical recommendation, which is define the objectives of the program and share them with the sponsor of the program before you start the program and not during the program. It is more useful this way. So within these 10 steps, 3 are particularly delicate to negotiate, I would say. Find the right sponsor, someone who has visibility within the company, but who has also some time to spend on the program. The coaching of the entrepreneur, step 5, because it's not only a methodological coaching, it's the coaching of a human being. And we tend to say that a good entrepreneur is someone who's both flexible and stubborn at the same time. It needs a lot of determination, but it needs also to be able to listen to the user and their feedback to improve the innovation. And both determination and this capacity of listening, it's something that has to be developed, that has to be supported in the entrepreneur mindset. And the third step, which is dedicated to negotiate, is the relationship with the business unit. So I said they have to be involved from the beginning, but during the project they have to still be online with what is being developed. And sometimes the fact that a business unit send a representative within the entrepreneurship, the entrepreneur team, can be a solution to maintain an appropriate communication. So I will go to the last slide, and we can have the question and answer. So there are some illustration. There are over 20 entrepreneur stories that represent the second part of the book. And if you look at this 20 entrepreneur project completed in various companies, of course, mainly this project tackle business, creation of new business line, or sometimes cost saving, or digitalization of existing business, so turning existing business with a more digital interface. But many projects have an impact in terms of transformation of the employee's mindset. And two other metrics, two other kind of impact. One is the fact that this project bring the company closer to its customers. For example, one program is measuring the number of customer insight and the rhythm of this customer insight collected during the completion of the entrepreneur project. Do we get customer insight every week, every 2 weeks, every month, and so on? And last, it's an emerging trend, but many projects and many programs have societal and environmental impact in their target. And I will conclude with compared with transformation programs that are top-down in many companies, entrepreneurship is really bottom-up, and it's a chance, it's an opportunity given to the employee to be the change he wants to see in the world and mainly in his company. This is
That's
it
great.
for the presentation.
Thank you, Nicolas. I hope that was good one for everybody involved. We have some time for questions, and let me start with Stephanie Barnes, who's written on the chat, joining us from Berlin. 2 questions. First, if you have anything in place to help employees become more innovative, that is to create the ideas in the first place, even before the process starts with the submission.
Okay, so I had the case of one company who was afraid of not collecting enough ideas when they launched the program. Does this correspond to the question?
So Stephanie, feel free to jump in and go on mute, and then we can do the diversity afterwards.
Okay, so in this case, I remember that the company worked on 2 elements. First, they try to share example from other companies starting the same kind of program, and they organized 1 or 2 events when they had some testimonial from entrepreneur from other company and entrepreneur manager from other companies sharing the experience, and so creating the desire. And second, they worked on the risk tolerance. So they shared the messages that this was the first season, and you could share any creative ideas that you wanted. It was not. They were not looking for moonshot, but they were looking for participation and involvement of the employee rather than having ideas that will completely change the world from the first time.
Okay, thanks.
So this idea of risk tolerance, or tolerance to encouraging risk. Yeah.
Great, thanks. The other question I had was about a lot of people. Sorry, a lot of the people in the video clip that you showed seem to be men, and I just wondered if there was anything to bring more women or more diversity into the program.
That's a very good question. We are at Orange are unlucky. we have a minority of women entrepreneurs, around 10%, which is in average the percentage of women entrepreneurs in a tech startup. So it's quite low. But when I've looked at the 20 stories that I have collected, I have a perfect balance between men and women. And during a session of a debate session around the book with the participants, we wondered why there was such a good representation of women in the entrepreneurship program. And one participant said that maybe women want to be entrepreneur as much as men, but with entrepreneurship, it alleviates some risk because you are still in the corporation and you still get get your salary and so on. So it alleviates the risk compared to becoming entrepreneur. And this way, said the participant, this way women allow themselves to take the risk, because otherwise they feel responsible for the family or that kind of thing. So entrepreneurship, as from my experience, has a much better percentage or representation of women than entrepreneurship, and especially tech entrepreneurship.
Very good. Thank you. I'm going to jump in for the last 2 minutes. We still have a few questions from Martin Kort from Switzerland. So if you can answer quickly, Nicolas. First, if this is something that only takes place inside Orange, or does it also require interactions outside the organization too?
Our entrepreneurship program takes place within Orange, but many other entrepreneurship programs are incubated outside of the company. It depends on the company facilities and if they want to expose their employees to the external innovation ecosystem, for example.
Very good. And then last but not least, can you mention in the last minute key pitfalls for companies to consider when designing an entrepreneurship program? What are the things that tend to go wrong?
Well, for me, the three elements to have in mind is really find the right sponsor, ensure close coaching of the entrepreneur, and involvement of the business unit upstream.
Very good. And we made it just on time. Thank you very much, Nicolas. Hope this was as interesting for everybody else as I found. Thank you for sharing your story. I will wrap this up also with the blog post and a link to your book and a link to your blog post and the videos. Thank you, everybody, for taking the time. Thanks for being a part of it. And thank you, Nicolas.
Thank you. Feel free to ask further questions through LinkedIn or any other network. Bye-bye.
Thank you.